Hey everyone, thanks for coming. Corey of Blue Falcon Board Gaming. If you're new to the channel, I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran that started the Blue Falcon Board Gaming Group in the Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia tri-state area with the hopes of promoting positive mental health through board games, as well as to make board games more accessible to the community by hosting and co-hosting free events, doing giveaways, and just different things like that. Today, I've got Mathue from MB Born Games. Mathue, welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we are honored to have the TikTok board game daddy.
I love that
So,
coined phrase there.
yeah. So, you want to give a little bit of background about yourself, maybe outside of board gaming first? Just who's Mathue on a regular day?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Mathue, and I have a dog. Her name's Quinn. You might hear her bark every now and then throughout this interview. But she's my PIC. She's a blue healer. So I like going on walks with Quinn. I like to stay active. So I always go to the gym. It's usually how I start my day, just to get the blood flowing. And I actually recently moved to Dallas, so I'm trying to figure out this area. So I like to explore different breweries and stuff like that. But I love to hike, and I lived in Las Vegas, and they had some of the best hiking trails with Red Rock and Mount Charleston. But I haven't been able to find any good hiking here, so that's been a bummer. Um, but yeah, those are a few things I do outside of board gaming.
All right. So, what was your introduction into board games, or more specifically, the what's considered the modern board games?
Um, I guess I've always liked board games and video games growing up, and actually, it's pretty funny. When I have some family in Germany, so I was fortunate enough to get to go over there when I was like 10. My grandparents took us all over, like all of their grandkids' places when they had a chance. So I went to see my family in Germany when I was 10, and I got introduced to Catan and Tikal, and they weren't, to my knowledge at that time, weren't available in the US. It was like before the big modern explosion of games happened in the US. So I actually bought some while I was there with the Deutschmark, because it wasn't like the euro or anything yet. And I had my aunt and cousin translate, like write all the rules in English for me so I could be able to play it. But when I got back to the States, nobody wanted to play them with me. So I just had these games. I still have them. I think they're in storage right now, but I have these German versions of Catan and Tikal. But from there, I got more into like video games and stuff like that for a long time. I used to play a lot of Risk in our family growing up as well, like extended family. And we would have family feuds where we wouldn't talk to each other for I remember one time I talked to my cousin for like 2 months. I couldn't even remember. By the end of it, I was like, I don't even know why I'm mad at you anymore. But we played a lot of Risk, so area control. And then, like I said, I got more into like video games and stuff for a while, but then eventually I decided to make my own game. And when I did that, I got much more into board gaming again. So that was kind of how that went for me.
So, what was that transition of playing games to designing games? Was there anything in particular that like kind of sparked that desire to want to be a designer?
So when I started designing, I lived in Vegas for like 13 years, so I bartended. I was in food and beverage for most of my life, and I really like bartending. I actually used to compete like in national cocktail competitions and stuff like that as well. But I was like, I want to do something for myself. So I was like, I'm going to make a drinking game because I'm a bartender. And it's going to be like, the idea was it would be slightly educational and teach people about alcohol and stuff like that. And there's actually quizzes in the game that have a lot of alcohol related questions. Um, but I was like, I don't know how to make a video game. So I guess I'll try and do a board game. I'm sure I could figure that out. So I just kind of combined my passion of gaming and like bartending into one to create a drinking game experience. And then after that, I started to game more in hobby style games, to be honest. I got a regular group that for like about 2 years straight, we would meet every week and play 3 to 4 new games every week. And even with that, I feel like there's so many games out there I still haven't played. It's crazy how many games come out.
Yeah, there's a ton that, everyone jokes it's like a shelf of shame and everything. I'm like, yeah, it's a shelf of opportunity. Like, this is
Yeah.
just gems waiting to be mined. So if you could, keeping with kind of like the design aspect right now. So if you could design a game based on any IP, what IP would you go for?
Any
Like,
IP.
assuming that you don't have to worry about buying the rights or anything like that. Like,
Right. Huh. Man, there's so many. Man, that's a tough decision. I wasn't ready for this question. I think off the top of my head, I would just go to my favorite video game, which is Metal Gear Solid. I know there's a Metal Gear Solid game coming out by Simon, but I just love that video game series, so I would definitely try and get that. But if I thought about it, I'm sure there's a lot of other ones I'd probably consider as well. But off the top of my head, that's what's coming to mind.
yeah, yeah. I always hope that there was like a really solid supernatural game. All of the supernatural games out there aren't don't really seem that solid. I've watched all 15 seasons like 3 times now. Then I've got the purgatory symbol on this hand, the reaper trap on this hand, like kind of like the show.
I'm sorry, my dog's barking.
Oh, you're
Um,
fine. You're fine. We've
what
got
was the IP you said? I kind of was trying to get her to quiet down.
Supernatural.
Supernatural, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So,
That was a TV series, right?
yep.
Or was it?
Yeah,
Okay,
15
yeah, yeah.
seasons. It was only
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah, yeah.
go 5 seasons originally, and everybody was like, "Hey, we want more." So then they just started doing it.
That's awesome.
It's all great with the exception of like season 7 or 8, whatever one's the Leviathan season. You can just skip that one.
Just skip
But
that one.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
So you've got, we got into board games, you're designing board games, but now you're publishing board games. So do you want to talk about what it's like to be a publishing company for board games, how you go about,
Sure.
selecting games, what's your kind of criteria for if somebody wants to pitch a game to you, or what kind of games do you look for?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So, I don't think that I'm the greatest designer out there. I might take another try at it one day, but with publishing, you have so many hats you have to wear. And with Don't Get Drunk, the first game I designed and self-published, I had to go through all the steps of publishing and kind of learn what that looked like and what it required. Um, and you really have to wear every hat and learn everything. It can be very overwhelming. So whenever I talk to new people getting into it, I just tell them take it day by day kind of thing. Or, if you look at the top of the mountain, it's going to be really intimidating versus just look one step ahead. So today I'm going to learn what ocean freight is, and I'm going to study that all day and figure it out. Oh, I didn't finish it today. I'm going to continue it tomorrow. Okay, now the next day I'm going to learn about shipping. So you have to take things day by day so you don't get overwhelmed. And that's kind of what my journey looked through when I was self-publishing. But after that, I actually got approached by a company, and they asked me to run their publishing company. And it didn't exist yet. It was like a new startup thing. It was the company's no longer exists, and the owner was actually not a great person in many people's opinions. And I'm happy to not be a part of that anymore, but I got to learn a lot through it. A lot of like things not to do. um, so then after that happened, I was like, let me focus on my own company, because I had started MB Born Games in actually like 2016 with Don't Get Drunk, which didn't launch till 2018. Hey, relax, you. um, but sorry, she threw me off. Uh, but from there, I said, let me start focusing on my own brand again. And I was with my buddy that we just started doing games under my brand now, and he's a designer. He has a lot of design. So I was like, let's do them under mine. And we have quite a few projects together. He's the one that I did Mind Your Business with, and Sirens, and we're doing Kalahari together, and we have some other stuff. We have a lot of stuff in the works. But basically, publishing, you have to learn to wear every single hat there is. And I was like, well, this is a skill set that I've had to learn because I did self-publishing. Let me keep doing this, because again, I don't think I'm the greatest designer, and there's a lot of designers out there. So I was like, let me transition to more of a publishing role. Um, And that's kind of what I've done now, especially since I started focusing on my own company. And one of the new initiatives that I'm doing is the Tiny Game series. So we had our most recent launch on Kickstarter, it's still active. But the idea was to get out smaller games to the community so I can stay active in the community, build trust with the community, show I can build like a quality products and deliver it and build trust within the community, while I work on larger games and that take 2-3 years to develop kind of thing. And from there, I was like, well, the Tiny Game series is something I'll continue on. So that's something that I've opened up now, and I got a new logo for it, and it's going to be a new line under MB Born Games. And as far as like submitting games to me or what I'm looking for, I usually like really like different themes, like unique themes, um, or something that has something unique about it. I don't like the same. There's a lot of themes that get done over and over and over again, and I'm sure I might do some too. But if something has a unique theme, like Kalahari's a meerkat area control game, that's a bigger one we're working on. Like, I'm all over that. Meerkats, let's go. There's no meerkat games, so I'm gonna be the first meerkat game. I think. I don't know. There might be one out there, but as far as that goes, submitting games and stuff like that, I have a website where there's a submission. You can just send it to my email. I'm a one-person company, so it's me doing everything. It's just going to come to me. But right now, I'm only really looking for more tiny games to put into the series. And with that in mind, some might just be direct-to-retail releases versus an entire Kickstarter and stuff like that. But we'll see how it is. But yeah, tiny game series. I'll accept submissions for those.
So, what do you consider to be a tiny game? Is there a card limit? Is there a?
So here is the box, and it's hard to see for scale, but here's a pen next to it, I guess. But it's 4.3 by 4.3 by 1 inch. If it fits in here, it qualifies to be a tiny game. These ones have like inserts because there's enough room for them, but if there's a game that has more components, I would probably just get rid of the insert so I could fit more stuff into it. I do like inserts because it looks nicer, it's more presentable. But with such a limited space and it's hard to make a tiny game, I'm open to fitting as much as we can into there.
Gotcha. Yeah, so the Kickstarter is still active. This should be posted the same day that we're doing the interview. So it's October 16th if you're watching this in the future or anything. And your Kickstarter still has 3 days to go.
Yeah.
You had a $10,000 goal, and you're currently sitting at $21,159 with 739 backers. So very successful Kickstarter. You've more than doubled what your goal was with it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. This I just did an update yesterday, and I was like letting everyone know like the milestones we hit that have supported the company. But this is obviously the highest funded project under MB Born Games, which is really exciting. And then also, if we're able to end with 826 backers, which I think is doable with 3 days left, and that strong, usually last few day push, this campaign will have more backers on it than my previous 3 all combined, which would be a really cool achievement as well. But the main takeaway was like, thank you everyone for supporting and like helping us grow. Like you can see real progress between campaigns for my indie company, which is really exciting for me. And I'm just like so thankful for everyone that's making that possible, because today, there's a lot of things with crowdfunding that people don't like, or like, why are they on there? They don't even need crowdfunding, or, it gets a bad rap sometimes because of some of the companies that have defaulted or not delivered games. But I think at the core of it with Kickstarter or any crowdfunding platform, like supporting those small indie publishers that actually really need it is a cool thing. So I'm super thankful for everyone that does that.
Yeah, so do you want to talk about the games real quick that are in this Kickstarter? So Sirens, I'm super excited about that. The theme just drew me in. Defrag, I loved the little mechanism that was in that video. And then 16 Candies, I think my daughter's gonna like it.
Nice. Yeah, so this is the first run at the Tiny Game series, and there's 3 games in it. They're actually all going to have a number on the spine of them, so this is game 1. But Sirens is a Greek mythology themed card drafting game where you're trying to draft cards to build a song in your tableau in front of you. And there's different reasons that cards score and different universal rules that come out that change gameplay and kind of changes up your strategy. So it's not the same game every time. But the really cool thing about this is at the end of the game, we've developed an app where you can take a picture of the cards you use to build the song in your tableau, and it'll actually play back the song in real time to you, which we thought was really cool and exciting. And whenever I show people at conventions, it kind of like blows their mind. They're like, wait, what? It does that? And people that are musically talented or even not really appreciate that aspect of it. And I'm excited about that because I've never developed an app before, and I didn't do the development, but I had to work with a team to do it. And it was very challenging and frustrating at times, but I'm really happy at the place we have it at now. And I will likely continue on this line with like the musical theme where it plays through an app, but do different mythologies moving forward. So we'll probably do like maybe a Norse mythology themed music game, and then maybe Egypt or Japan or something like that. But I have to talk to the designer more about that. But the way people have reacted to this, I want to continue it on. I think people would really appreciate that. And then the next one is Defrag, which again, I love the idea of this because it was like a unique theme, like defragging a computer, what? And I love the idea of the floppy disk box, which has a little nostalgic hit there, which I liked. But this can be played 1 to 2. I think it really shines as a solo experience personally. And it's a fun little game where you're trying to beat your high score. It's very spatial awareness puzzly. And in the base, you're trying to beat your high score. We actually added new rule sets that make gameplay more difficult or easier depending on how you want to play it. And then the thing that's really cool about this one is it has a scenario manual. So if the base game is not really enough for you, there's a scenario manual where you can where you can work your way through 40 different scenarios that they scale in difficulty, or they have different setups, or they create, unique different experience in each scenario. So that's like a thing that keeps the game alive, instead of just one and done with this base game version of it. So that's the thing that I really like about Defrag. And then the last one is 16 Candies. And this is the intention behind this was, you can see the number on the box. The intention with this was to create more of like a family friendly game to get kids excited about gaming. So this is a really light set collection game. And it's easy to learn. It has just a little, it's like a 4-page rule book that folds together. It's very small to learn, very easy to understand. But the unique thing about this is you're supposed to play with real candy. So each player starts with a health pool of 16. That health pool is supposed to be real candy. So when you're playing the game and you lose hands, you have to lose health. And when you lose health, you would eat your candy. So the idea was to have something unique where, you're eating pieces of candy, something exciting for kids to do with like their parents or family, and get them into gaming or maybe interested in it more. We did include enough little pieces so you don't have to play with candy, because we know people might, not want. We don't want anyone getting tummy aches, I guess. But the real fun is just getting to eat candy when you're playing the game, in my opinion. So they all hit, and this is 2 to 4 players, and the games all hit a different kind of demographic, and we wanted to do that to just cast a wider net over the audience to get more people excited about the Tiny Game series.
Yeah, I'm absolutely excited about it. I'm trying to see here. What's the pledge level? Let's see.
So there's a few to choose from. We have a print and play level, which is something I actively try and offer in all my campaigns moving forward now, just because in my last campaign, the print and play community came out and really showed support, and I want to continue to do that for the print and play community. So there's that at an $8 where you get all 3 games. There is a option to just buy one game at $15. So if you only want one of the games in the series, you can just buy one if that's all you want. And then there is a all-in bundle deal where you get all 3 games. You get a really cool protective sleeve that goes around the 3 games that holds all 3 of them. And I just did an update that has some of the art in that as well, because we got a new one. It looks really cool. It combines all of the arts from the 3 games into one collective scene, which is really cool in my opinion. And then you get a bunch of Kickstarter exclusive upgrades components for free as well, and that one's $39. And then in the Pledge Manager, if you buy only one game, people can do the Kickstarter exclusive add-ons in the Pledge Manager and stuff like that as well, if they don't do
Gotcha.
the bundle. But the bundle offers a better price point for all three, plus all these extra little bits.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go the print and play option, $8 is not a bad price at all. And then if you want the physical copies, $39 for 3 games. You can't really beat that.
Yeah, and you get the best shipping rate at the 3 games as well. So.
Yeah. So I don't think a lot of people realize how much goes into, bringing a game to life. So what was the biggest surprise for you whenever you first got into it? The like, oh, I didn't think of this. I mean, it could be something super small, or it could have been something that almost, broke the company. If that happened or anything. I know for me, I'm designing one right now, and it should have clicked with me right away, but I didn't realize that an artist and a graphic designer is not always the same person. It may not be,
Right.
the same thing. So,
yeah, and that's something I learned early on too, because with Don't Get Drunk, I just had an illustrator that did everything. It was a friend's wife, and she did a great job with it, but she just did everything. I was like, all right, cool. And then after that, I learned illustrators and graphic designers are two different things. So I like to try and find an illustrator and graphic designer at the same time so they can work together, which sometimes causes issues too, because they have disagreements, and then I have to like mediate it. But yeah, I always found that that's usually a good way to handle it. But it does take a lot to make games come together. Making sure that like files are prepared in the correct format, or a high enough quality so it can be like, scaled down or up if needed. Because I have something like, no, you can't, it's the quality's wrong, or it was in it wasn't RGB, so there's issues like that can happen with your manufacturer. But manufacturers typically offer like a guidebook on how things should be prepared. So I usually provide that to artists and graphic designers when I work with them. So I can be, please read through this so you know everything, how it needs to be done. Because I don't fully understand it, because I'm not talented with art or graphic design, but I'm starting to understand more of like what's required and needed. So that's probably a big one. On my first campaign, I made a huge mistake with the cost of shipping and had to come out like a few $1,000s of my own money just to fulfill Don't Get Drunk to international backers. So that was a big mistake. I now have guides, step-by-step video guides on how to do self-fulfilling and how to do ocean freight to help other indie publishers so they don't make that same mistake, which I'm always happy to talk about with anyone that might want to. So that was a big one. Other hardships, I guess like international is always a hard thing to do, which is something I've actively been building my infrastructure to accommodate better. So working with the correct partners for fulfillment. So I work with VFI for my last campaign, and they did anything international. And this campaign, I'm working with VFI for Asia and rest of world, Zatu for UK and Europe, and Aetherworks for New Zealand and Australia and Southeast Asia. And the cool thing about that is with Zatu, VFI, and Aetherworks, I'm going to send extra units. So they have it in their warehouse, and they've integrated to my website here, mvborngames.com. So if a sale happens with somebody in Australia, it can be fulfilled at a reasonable price because there's extra units at the warehouse in Australia at Aetherworks now. So that's something I've been trying to work on, is building my infrastructure to accommodate international backers better. So as a first-time publisher, that might be something that's hard for you to do, and that's why I had to come out thousands of dollars, because I thought I could fulfill to international backers from the US, and it was so crazy expensive, much more than I thought it was, because I did some math wrong. So I would say make sure you it depends what the goals of your campaign are, but you could do just a US just to figure out the process and not make any big mistakes, and then branch out to try and do international. There's a different answer for every campaign, but I would recommend reaching out to VFI for help internationally for a lot of first-time backers, because they're a great company to work with, and it helps open that door to the supporting or getting games internationally to people at a rate that's better than the US. So those are a couple, I guess. I don't want to keep talking.
Oh, no. Yeah, I think with mine, for the one that I'm working on right now, I'm just going to do the U.S. to begin with, just because of that the international shipping scene seems a little bit crazy, complicated. You've got different countries with different, tax rates, and then the VAT tax or all of that different stuff. So, I want to get my feet wet first. So,
Yeah, I think
I'm
that's
just
a
going to looking
personal
at only the U.S.
Yeah, I think that's a perfectly good way to handle it, because then you can learn everything as well, like what the process is and what it takes. And then, it's just one less thing that you have to worry about, which is a huge component to the larger picture. But, if you're just doing US, it's a lot more, there's less to like have to learn and take on as a first time. So the margin for error is going to go down for you, which, I think is a perfectly good way to handle a first campaign.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of games here, Josh is currently our Blue Falcon Board Gaming Family Feud champion. He's
Not for
at
long.
144. So
144.
yeah, he didn't do too hot.
Don't you need 300 to win?
Typically it's like 200 or whatever for fast
200?
money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Gotta take
he
this
had,
championship
I think
belt.
2 of his 3 answers, or 2 of his 5 answers were like no points at all yesterday.
Oh, bummer.
But he's the current reigning champion. A win's a
I
win.
need to beat him.
So, first question. When they say a good one is hard to find, they mean a good what?
Spouse?
Okay. Name an Asian country that's known for its cuisine.
Japan?
Name a kind of chip.
Potato chip.
Okay. Name something that starts with the word chow.
With the word chow?
Yep.
Chip. Chowder.
Okay. And then name something that people take out.
Food. Take out food.
Okay. All right, so let's see what we got here. So a good
Oh,
one's
man.
hard to find. They mean what? You said spouse, so we'll say that that's man or woman, and that's number 1 answer at 78 points.
Yeah,
A
let's
Asian
go.
country that's known for its cuisine. Yeah, what was it? Japan that you said?
Yeah.
That is number 2, so that's 24 points. A kind of chip. You said potato. Number 1, so that's 74.
Oh, man.
Something
Let's
that
go.
starts with chow. You had said chowder, right?
Yeah. That one threw
Number
me.
2 answer. That
All
was
right.
12 points. Number 1 was chow mein.
Ah, okay.
And then something that people take out, you said food. That was number 1 at 61. So you've got 249 points.
Let's go.
So you have dethroned Josh from Meeple House Games.
In your face, Josh. Come at
as
me,
the
bro.
champion.
Come at me. I gotta tell him when I see him. I think I'm gonna see him at BGCon, so I'm gonna rub that in his face.
Yeah, he said that he's got a convention that's coming up. I'd met Josh back at Geekway in 2022, and we've stayed in contact since then and everything. And he's a great guy, man. He's one of my favorite people to play games with and just talk to. It's one of the things I really like about board games. I mean, he lives in Colorado. I live in Ohio. We would have never crossed paths if it weren't for board games.
Yeah, board game industry is great for that. Conventions are really good because once you start going to more, you're meeting more and more people, and then they introduce you to their friends, and they introduce you to your friends, and then you just really grow your network of people within the industry. And Josh is a great guy, and I don't know. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but TikTok, the community there is awesome. I've become great friends with a lot of them, and I meet a lot of TikTokers at conventions and become friends with them.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to Ben from AFEC Games. We've got interview.
I have not met Ben yet, but he's the one who coined the phrase TikTok zaddy, thirst trap zaddy, TikTok thirst trap zaddy. So I got to thank him for that.
When is this one? So yeah, I'm talking to him Thursday.
Oh, nice, very cool.
That'll be fun.
Check that out.
Yeah, I've been doing the kind of doing the interview series as well for the Stonemeyer Games charity auction. So
very
I
cool.
got selected to be one of the content creators in it this year. So I reached out to Jamie and I was like, hey, I'd love to do an interview with each other content creator or whatever too. That way we can learn more about them, more about the charity they select, all of that stuff. So he sent me the list and I shot an email out to each person. And out of the other 9 that were participating, 6 have got back with me and stuff. So
Nice.
I'm
I'll have to
excited to
check
do
that out
that.
because
And
I don't know much about that. So I'll watch some of the videos when you post them, just so I can
yeah.
learn more about it.
Yeah, well, basically, like Stonemeyer does a charity auction each year, and Jamie will pick 10 content creators, and it's just people that are smaller that he wants other people to know about, and then those
Okay.
content creators will pick a nonprofit, and then he puts up a package on Board Game Geek. He'll put up a package, and it's usually like a few of their newer games, maybe the most recent game from last year, some accessory stuff like that, and then you just do almost like not a silent auction because you're typing in the comments what your bid is, but whoever's got the highest bid, they'll send the money to Jamie. He also matches it and then donates it to that charity, and then
Oh,
they cover
very
shipping
cool.
and all of that. So last year the packages were like insane. It was like the nesting box, and it's usually the first 10 if they're numbered or serialized or anything. It's usually the first 10 games off those print runs and stuff that are in those
Oh, wow.
packages. So it's a
That's
cool
cool.
chance for people that want to get super low numbered serialized games, but also a good way to support charities and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that is cool.
all
Nice.
right, so we've got, let me see here, it looks like you're big on TikTok, your Instagram, it looks like it's just Envyborn Games. Same thing for Facebook, Linktree as well. Is there any other plugs you want to drop there? You've got your website, the Facebook, TikTok, Instagram.
No, those should all be good. I mean, the YouTube channel I have has some helpful tutorials specific to board game publishers. So there's like I said, the step-by-step how to do self-fulfilling in the US, how to arrange your own ocean freight. And I also started how to sell an Amazon guide with Becky from Rainbow Bunny Bop. And I have to edit another episode we have, but I need to get to that actually. But yeah, just putting out content to try and help other indie publishers or self-publishers.
All right, sounds good. Well, Mathue, I appreciate the time. It was always fun, and looking forward to watching those videos because I definitely need to learn self-fulfillment right now.
Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.